When ready. Last video, I had 3 projects that I had to get underway and get going. This time out, we've got some progress, including...
Now there are 2 of them.
First up is Echo Base. Last week I was getting things worked out how I wanted to set things up and went ahead and did that. Mentioned I had done some painting, which was just white paint on the walls here. And I got it. It's done. For now, it's done. There's a few other things I want to maybe try in it. But for now, I'm liking how it looks. Pretty good. Let's start at the top here. One of the things I was concerned about was control room here and back to room. One of the problems was actually this whole display slides out, and I had to make sure that when I was putting this back together that those displays could come out, and they do, so that's good. Problem I haven't solved yet is because these 2 things were set up differently in older displays. I've got this gap here, so the plan is to probably make a second hallway to go along with the existing one that I have here. And this is the control room from Hoth. And I basically just, nothing new in there. I just reused what I had, set things up differently, took out a few figures, that sort of thing. Back to room. The light here. Oh, there it is. Using some templates from dioramaworkshop.com. And as we go down to the main level, 2 snow speeders. I had thought of putting an X-wing in this. I just, in shuffling things around, it didn't make the cut. So what I like here, though, is I've got a snow speeder that you can see from a side view and then from a front view. I'd really like to find a more modern snow speeder so that this one, the Kenner one, I can take out and actually put with my Kenner collection. But until I do that, it's going to have to do. Couple other things along the back, including a mini rig that to me is very Hoth, and Buzz Lightyear ship that I intended on doing weathering to it, and I just thought, you know what, it's basically in the shadows back there, so we're going to leave it. Changed a little bit of the lighting, added some lighting, reusing these awesome 3D printed runway lights, which always look so good, and the lighting for those are my favorite standby, the dollar store fairy lights, I guess you call them. I was able to now have out 3 Tauntaun instead of just, I think I had 1 or 2, which is nice to have. So this was a shelf, still is a shelf. I wanted it to look like it was part of the environment. So this is pink insulation foam painted white. And all I did is I took my my hot foam knife and sort of cut it to give you like a sort of an icy effect, which works really good. And kind of finishes things up. I got 1 or 2 other thoughts I want to do. Sort of started, I may put blast doors, maybe. Open to blast doors just to maybe finish it off. But otherwise, glad how that all turned out. And then a very small project underneath. This is a place to just store a couple of the huge Clone Wars tanks. I painted this bare wood in a silver color. And just added some clones that I had in storage, which is nice. And Rex, we'll have to fix you later. So yeah, so that worked out pretty good. While I'm talking about, just really quick, that work with the foam knife, which is super easy. And we'll get to some shuffling that I've done on this wall, but not yet. With that foam knife, I also kind of slapped together a Imperial Snow Patrol, if you want to call it, display, where I've stacked some of that pink foam and did the same thing where you just sort of slice off the front end of it and you get that cool looking icy feel. So this was a way for me to highlight the snow division of the Empire. And so we've mixed it up with Snow Troopers. I haven't got the new vintage collection one yet, and also the cool Range Troopers from Solo. So that's one project done. Next project on the list was this bookcase. I had dollar store LED strip lighting, which didn't work great. Wasn't really enjoying it. They weren't super bright, and I wanted something better, so I upgraded them with some LED puck lights, and that's turned out really good. it's evened out the lighting on the wall, so it matches really nice. Once I got the lights in, this was just sort of, it was like just reset it, just put things back where you had them. There was a couple changes I made. I mentioned in the last video, I was concerned about having whether I'd be able to keep my shelf of creatures. And just from shuffling things around, I didn't know if that was going to happen. Luckily, I was able to shuffle things around. I did find a new home for them, and got to figure out what to do with a background for that. But it's nice to still have those out on display. How I made the room for there is I kind of made a decision. Talked before about how some of these larger vehicles are just, at the end of the day, they're kind of a pain in the butt. So I've had a Jawa sandcrawler display forever. Used to use the 30th anniversary version, which you can see right there. Previously, I had the Disney Parks sandcrawler, which you can see over here. And getting a little tired of big vehicles that are getting in the way. And that's what that Disney Parks one really is. It's just, the sandcrawler is a giant box. And it was, basically just hampering how I could set up this display. It's one of my favorite setups to do because you can just, you can be goofy with the Jawas. You can have them, working on droids out in the desert, whatever. And having that Disney Parks one just ate up a lot of real estate. It's like, you know what, let's give it a break. So I put it over in the corner, put the 30th anniversary version back out, and it's awesome. You can set up so many different scenarios on one shelf, and I've got a photo background there. So that was nice to have that back. And one thing, so it's the shelf is reset. Some displays aren't finished, some displays are. This one, I'll call it mostly finished. Got to do something about those sidewalls, but otherwise it's I'm liking how it looks. One of the other things I did, adjusted each shelf so that there wasn't any sort of wasted space, any wasted air kind of thing. And so next up is this Endor display. Got to get some tape for that. And this is fun. This is basically just Ewoks attack. There's no rebel forces there. This is just the Ewoks kicking ass. And had it set up, same thing, had it set up for quite a while, didn't quite finish it. And this one I'm going to call finished. And what makes it finished is instead of bare walls, I have some photos that I've actually taken in different provincial parks here in Ontario. But I like how this it's chaotic. It's a giant mess. And it's a good way to have a scout walk around display without worrying if it's ever going to tip over. This might be the biggest improvement with the new lights. This is my Rancor and Droid Factory display. Droid Torture Room, I guess. And what's great about this is each one of these shelves has one puck light for each one. And as much as I've always liked the dioramas that I've done here, it was never bright enough. And I made room, I cut holes on top so that light would hopefully leak through from above. Never actually worked great. And I was able to put a separate light for each of these displays, and it's great. Like, it's lit up. It's okay to be gloomy, but you want to see the stuff you're putting on display. So that turned out really nice. This is just basically, it's a second Cantina. And using the Neverro Cantina playset. A couple things I did on this that I haven't previously done. This is all of the environment pieces, so the walls and the bar, those are now hot glued in place onto a foam board base. So this is actually a display that I can slide out if I want to do work to it. And nice thing about that's basically just, again, because when you have a setup that has so many figures in it, you're knocking stuff over, at least some of it's going to stay in place. One other thing I did is I got some museum wax. Can't recommend it enough. Stick some of that on the real tiny pieces, and hopefully I'm not going to have to worry about them again. So yeah, this is a Cantina. Nothing specific. If there's one thing that's, I don't even know, interesting about it, is it's mostly sequel figures, a lot from the Force Link era of collecting. I just thought it was a good way to group them together. There's some old figures as well, but The idea was stuff not in the regular Cantina, and so call it, Maz's Tavern, call it Neverro, call it whatever, because we even have Han and Lando at the cards again. Whoop, there he is. Things have fallen over. Again, this one's pretty much done. We'll see. A few other things I want to do. I'd like to finish off this, we'll call it the alleyway. I need to do that. One thing I did on this, which was a lot of fun, was trying to do lighting I hadn't done before. So in this case here, again, I have a set of colored fairy lights behind there with some wax paper, just to diffuse things and give a different kind of background. And you'll notice on this back wall here, so that's actually a street. And I mentioned in the last video wanting to hang on to, where I could, the diorama pop-ups from Power of the Force 2. So yeah, it's hard to see through the camera here, but back there is the reverse side of that pop-up cantina, which is a street scene. And I've got a couple of figures and creatures in the background there. Adds a little bit of depth, something else to look at. Next shelf up, unfinished, but so far so good. I'm liking it a lot. This is basically a Phantom Menace pod race setup, and the reason for it is I've had these pod racers just in storage for, at this point, decades probably. It's like, no, these guys need to come out. These are great looking vehicles. So this was a way to do it, display them from the top there, and then just grab what I could from the scene in Phantom Menace, obviously the pod race scene, and whatever figures I might have had on hand. With just a little bit of rock work in the back there. And of course, Mighty Jabba. Would be great to have him in actually a box. But well, let's get back to him in a second. So this was a straight up reset. I've had this shelf forever. It's just Clone Wars. I don't know if I'm going to do anything else to it. I'm kind of getting tired of it. So we may have to do something drastic there. I've got smaller vehicles I'd like to put on display. So we'll see. I showed where this was going to go in the last video. These are 3D printed Cantina pieces from a friend. Got these on display. And again, it's not done. You can see bare walls. And I'm not settled on yet on actually how I want to display these alcoves and all that. The bar looks so good though. Really happy with that. And this was, I mentioned before, trying to get rid of extra space up on top. And this is a good example of how that worked out for me, where the alcoves at a certain angle, it looks finished. But again, I mentioned the Power of the Force pop-up. I have the floor from that I've scanned and printed, and I'm using that on the floor. And you can see it along the back there, which, like I said, it's a cool thing. It's nice and atmospheric, and it's nice to still be able to use it to some extent. But this is a work in progress, and it's going to be for a while. But nice to have the Cantina back. Next up, and this one's huge. So we've already looked at Mighty Jabba here, and this is Jabba from the Power of the Force Special Edition, a New Hope Special Edition set. So then if that's where Jabba is, well, you still got to have Jabba's palace, right? And it's like, well, this is my new Jabba's palace. Need to figure out a better way to hide some of these battery packs, but redid things here, shuffle things around. One of my pet peeves with some of these setups is that sometimes you only see the back of the figure, so I've tried to eliminate that. But the main thing you're going to see here is I do have a throne, and I do have a Jabba. If you know your Marvel Comics history, this Jabba display has the Mosep Benid figure as opposed to the big slimy hut. And I mentioned in the last episode, I was waiting on the Book of Boba Fett throne room, the Jabba the Hutt throne room. That arrived maybe a week after I shot that last video. So there is Boba's throne with the dais underneath, and work in progress. But I'm loving how this looks. This was just a setup where it's like, it doesn't matter If it's canon, doesn't matter if it happened. I really wanted to, this is just a joke for me because I just love the old Marvel comics. So be able to put that figure in there was fun. So then if that's the case, if that's Jabba's throne, so where is it? Well, follow me, won't you? And there it is. Like I said, came in the mail about a week after I posted my last video. And I'm bearing the lead here. So let's get on to, this is amazing. So I've got the Jabba set. I love it. The last video I was talking about putting it onto a Billy IKEA cabinet. I thought it was going to fit. Turns out it's off by just, I mean, it's got to be 1/4 of an inch, that it just hung over a little bit. And after some family discussion, here's how we made it fit in the Star Wars room. So cool how this turned out. And the only way I could do it is thanks to the fact that you're going to see here, I have a Jabba's Book of Boba Fett throne room. Oh, that name. And apparently a second one. Had a friend who was very kind. He was just looking to hang on to the carded Bib Fortuna figure and donated to me basically the rest of the accessories of the second set. So what I did is decided to put together this great Return of the Jedi, Jabba's throne room, Jabba's palace, Tatooine display, which, oh my gosh, so grateful that I was able to have 2 of these sets. Hemmed and hawed for, what, a year, whether I even wanted to get the thing, and now I have 2. And we've all seen, videos left, all over the place about this beautiful, beautiful set. Glad to have Jabba in it, a more modern Jabba. So what I did with the extra pieces is on one side here, you'll see the original Max Rebo band, and used that extra dais that it came with as a stage. I also picked up over the holidays, last Christmas was the Jabba set, right? So basically that whole set. That's why I have an extra one of those. So that makes a nice stage. Repurposed the accessories, used them a little bit different. So that turned out great. And then over here, the other archway, was able to put the Rancor. And it's great because I've always had the Rancor, just because, again, it's a huge, huge figure just sitting on the floor. So it's great to finally give it a home. And what also is nice was being able to pull other things together. So I had 2 of the skiffs just on a random shelf, and it was nice to be able to put them on, up a little bit higher, up on display. The big thing with this Jabba set is I wanted to be able to admire it. So when I was going to put it actually over here, we talked about my creatures, this is where it was going to go. It didn't look great. And like I said, it hung over the edge just a little bit, but I wanted it at eye level. I wanted it where it was easy for me to, be able to interact with. Now, what used to be here was a TV. There's been a TV in this room as long as we lived in this house. This was a bedroom. It was kids' TV room when they were younger. And I've always had a TV in here. And the decision to get rid of it wasn't that big a deal. I've been wondering whether I should have a TV in here or not. Yeah, I turned it on and use it, but you can't. I get so distracted in this room, I can't sit still and watch a movie. So decided to move the TV out of the room and put this display together. And I wanted to have, so you see this poster here, 20th anniversary Return of the Jedi. And there weren't enough different figure scenarios to put together to fill in this whole wall. And I like how sort of balanced it looks. So it's like, okay, you're going to need something in a frame. You're going to need a picture. You're going to need something. And what I didn't want to do was just sort of go out and buy something. I'd at least like for it to be something, something personal, something that, maybe is out of my collection. And my first thought was to move this Return of the Jedi poster over to there, but it's really big. You would have lost, at least a third of it over on this space. And dug into my archives, and I remembered we had this poster in my son's bedroom when he was little. Of course, he's a Star Wars fan. And this was just one of those fold-up posters that came in an issue of Star Wars Insider. So I remember I had it, took it out, put it in a frame, and it just sort of brings the whole thing together. So it's cool. It's cool to have it all themed together, but it's even more cool to be able to, bring something out that, means a lot to me. So that was nice to do. The only other piece from the second display would be the base of the main throne room. And I also made use of that. Turns out it becomes a very cool riser just to display figures. So did some moving around, and this is now my sort of the Rebels of Rogue One display, which I'm digging, but not done, but that's fine too. So there you have it. 3 giant projects, as promised, got them done. Most of them exceeded my expectations, and what it really did was just put the room back together. She's looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. So those projects are done for now. Like to say, always in motion is the Star Wars room, and that's for sure, because even after doing all this, I've already got ideas to do some other things. So thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe.